fiction, nonfiction, poetry, and translation. Talent alone is not enough to become a good writer. What you need along with that is you need real development of your craft, you need to be well-read, and you need a way to produce work. Columbia's writing program is singular in that it has a 60-credit requirement in the 2 years of study instead of what is often the usual 30 or 35 credits.
I lived in London for 5 years. In London, the feeling is that the best MFA programs at the moment are on the East Coast in the US, and that Columbia is the pinnacle of that.
The instructors in this program are amazing writers, but they're also caring teachers.
Really committed to the work of the students. We have probably the most illustrious faculty in the country. We have a Nobel Prize winner. We have several Pulitzer Prize winners. We have MacArthur Geniuses. We have many Guggenheim winners.
O. Henry Prize, Pushcart Prizes, the Booker Prize.
National Book Award winners, National Book Critics Circle Award winners. That's very exciting for the students. And I think it also gives them a sense that they could do this someday.
I remember first starting here and how intimidating it was to have a Pulitzer Prize winning author as your first writing professor, but they make it feel normal. They make it feel like there's no barrier between students and professors, and that's an empowering feeling.
When I was young, people helped me. I had wonderful teachers, and so it's exhilarating to be in the classroom. It's exhilarating to encourage the nascent efforts of intelligent and hopeful young writers.
One of the great pleasures for me of teaching is getting to be with students in that moment of the first times byline or like picking up a newspaper and like their name is there. It's the best. I feel like I'm showing up for something that is calling on all of my heart, all of my mind, all of my soul.
Well, that's what keeps you coming back into the classroom. Seeing people find it. Seeing people, after months and months of hitting the wall, break through, and they start to sing.
Our feeling is that a writer doesn't become a good writer simply by writing. You also become a good writer by studying the writing of great writers that came before.
So for me, reading can teach you perseverance. Reading can teach you the pliability of great ideas and the inspirational capacity of great ideas.
The point is, can we give you tools that you can use in a week, in a year, in 10 years to produce the kind of writing that will really speak to others?
We're constantly working on our craft. We're working on the writing, we're working on reading to be better writers, and we're studying technique. We are juggling our workshops on top of all of these craft lessons.
The best moments happen in the writing workshop itself. It's revelatory. It can only happen in a writing workshop like the ones at Columbia, which are unique in the fact that there is so much empathy and consideration and time put into them.
You have to feel safe in order to grow creatively, and I think that our students feel that way.
That I would cry rivers until I became a drought. Then the remains of me would scatter.
In workshop, when someone does a close read of my poetry, then they can say, I feel like you're holding back in this area. And it seems like your poem wants to say more. Learning to listen to a poem as its own entity, learning to listen to a poem as having its own voice and its own needs and its own desires, and learning to put that poem on the page according to what it wants.
When students come from diverse backgrounds, everyone has a different idea about what makes great literature, and they have a different trove of resources that they're drawing from, and so that really diversifies the conversation.
One of the great things about being here is that because we hear so many different voices, there's just a constant flow of ideas.
And ongoing conversations with young writers, emerging writers all over the world. The goal of teaching translation here isn't to turn everybody into a translator, but to allow writers to explore different modes of writing. Katrin Jensen came into translation as a fiction writer, but wound up translating a lot of poetry. This is a book that she submitted part of as her thesis.
It's called Third Millennium Heart, and it was a finalist for the Best Translated Book Award and just won the National Translation Award.
The way it generally works is you finish your coursework after 2 years. You can during the summer after your 4th semester, finish your thesis then. But you can also take an extra year, which is called a research arts year, and that gives you time to really work on the thesis.
So this is the book that came out of my graduate thesis. I came to Columbia to study nonfiction. I wanted to write a book, and I wrote Air Traffic. And in the process, during the 3 years that I was here, I coincidentally also won the Pulitzer Prize in poetry.
Columbia Artist Teachers was founded to provide free arts education to underserved communities and to provide pedagogical training for our MFA instructors, many of whom would like to pursue teaching opportunities once they've left the program.
And so working with CAT, for short, Columbia Artist Teachers, and training MFA students to lead creative writing workshops, I then had an opportunity to expand the program. And that program is about bringing creative writing workshops into different communities throughout New York City. Art being a part of my youth is what made things possible for me. I've always been really committed to folks that do not have a lot of access, to capture the intangible, to give voice to the thing that most people don't hear.
So here, you get to be an artist, you get to ask questions, you get to take chances. And then you step outside and you get to talk to publishers. We do have panels with editors. We have a mixer where graduates of the program meet agents on an evening together on campus. So there are ways that we make room for the idea that you do want to be a professional writer, you do want connections to editors and agents, and we want to help you get that.
We're in New York City. Obviously, it's the publishing capital. Obviously, this is a place where there are agents and editors and parties and magazines and journals, and there's this incredible hubbub, and students can plug into that all the time, and they do, and we encourage that, and we have ways for them to do that. But we also want to put a little bit of a break on it sometimes and give students the space and the time to develop themselves, and not just fling themselves headfirst into the melee, but create enough of a safe environment for them to really work on their craft so that when they emerge from this place, they really are ready to be in that world.
I would say that it's not just writing that changes here, it's you as a person who's gonna change. So if you're coming here, be ready for that.
And relearn how to be an artist.
It's really an incredibly generous, sincere place to become a writer and a human being.